Welcome to Jerusalem. Okay, so we are currently in Old City, and it's been a pretty eventful day already. So it's approximately 11 on a Friday, meaning I have a good 2 hours to explore this part. It's pretty hectic, and you can definitely see the interaction between the Arab and Israeli and Arab culture, so that's pretty interesting. I got like breakfast from this Arab stand and then the coffee from this Arab stand. So it's nice. It's I know I'm going to come back on Monday, so Monday is going to probably be Bethlehem and Jerusalem, because I heard you don't need that much time in Bethlehem. But it's very intense. It seems very intense, like just the way people were walking down the steps, just so many people, like every single culture. And I took a shavut from the central bus terminal in Tel Aviv. It was 30 shekels, so a bit more than a bus, but we were there pretty fast too. And they dropped you off right at Old City, so you only had to walk a good 5 minutes or so to this part. And on the way, I had all these stands, all these Arabic stands and Israeli stands. It was just an experience to have. But basically, it's a 10-person cab. It's similar to a colectivo in Mexico. And there's like a pretty gross guy in the background, sorry about that. But similar to that, it's just only they accept 10 people in it, so it's not like it overfills or whatever. It was an interesting experience to have. And yeah, so definitely being stared at when you're with your camera, that's for sure, because you have like all those people in the background. Say hi! That's funny, it's really funny. So far everything feels super safe though, I do have to say that. And I love how the sun falls onto the gate. So I forgot which gate this is, if it's the Gafa gate or the Zion gate, but it seems like everything's really close. I wanted to check out a few a few focal points, such as a few churches where Jesus in particular had history, but obviously there's so much history in this thing. I'll have to come back on Monday for a proper date. The reason I'm coming back for another day is because 2 hours is not going to be enough here. I can already tell you that much. But yeah, let's explore it and see you inside. Alright, as you can tell, it's super busy. I don't know if this is normal or not, or if it's just because they're going to close down in like 2 hours. Word of advice, if you can, get a map beforehand, because I'm already a bit lost without a map. There are certain pointers, like they have arrows and signs that point you towards certain directions, like the Lionsgate and all of that. But overall, it's still a bit confusing. It doesn't feel as tense here as I thought it would. So you definitely saw some military in the streets. I don't know if they were Israeli or Palestine though. And I don't know if I'm like in the Arab section of this entire city, because I'm getting strange looks, especially from men and women too. But whatever. So it feels extremely Middle Eastern, and they just kind of run into you without saying anything. Okay, whatever. So it feels super Middle Eastern. It feels actually more Arab than Israeli here, but that could be because I'm more on the Arab side, I'm not sure. There are a ton of food stores, and we're coming past something. It's like super loud, I think I would turn crazy if I had to be here every single day. It's super loud, it's super Arab, it's super Middle Eastern. But basically there are a ton of food things right here. And I ate outside because I thought I wouldn't have any breakfast. And I kind of thought it would just be one thing after another, one church after another, or one whatever after another. You can see like the military right there in the background. But no, there are a ton of stores. You can even buy random stuff, like outlets, like right here. So, it's like shoes. Does anyone need shoes? So yeah, you do have a ton of stuff. I'm not sure what the price is. I would assume the price is better outside, so I'm happy I got my breakfast outside. But you have so many things, and it's basically just like a huge bazaar, in addition to churches in the background. Like, in addition to all these points that you want to see in the background, there's music, there's everything. Okay, so right now we're at the Roman Catholic Church of the Holy Family. We're gonna check it out. Well, leave your guns at home, that's for sure. So there was a sign below, and I'll blend it in. Not sure if it's funny or not, but it's definitely unusual to put it that way. And this is supposed to be the Austrian Roman Catholic Church, so I think it was obviously built much later than 2,000 years ago. But yeah, so the weather's quite nice too. Do you have to say that? It was around 11 centigrade when I left Tel Aviv, so you still need like a jacket, but so far so good. Not a single thunderstorm. Alright, so on the way to the Lionsgate there were like a ton of people, and at one point it was even standstill, so I don't think this is normal necessarily, but I don't know what's going on, if it's just because it's closing down in an hour and people are trying to get somewhere. So we took this little path, and I guess we'll see where it leads us this time. Okay, so we're approaching Via Dolorosa, right there in the back. Now this is also the walk that Jesus made before he was crucified. So he basically walked through the Lionsgate along the Via Dolorosa, which is right here, to his crucifixion, which I have no idea where that is. But yeah, I think there's like a prayer or something happening, because I actually got kicked out of that one alley by one of the Palestinian guards or police or whatever it was. He was like, "You can't go here, you're not Muslim." So how he knew I wasn't Muslim, I don't know. I guess it's pretty obvious. Don't look like the average person who lives here. But he said I could just go up here. So we ended up here. And you have a lot of souvenir shops right here. You also have beautiful, beautiful carpets in the background. Kind of has a Turkey feel. Okay, so just a few things. I actually found out I can stay here until at least 3 or longer, because at 3 there's going to be a public procession where I guess they're going to carry the cross or whatever, I'm not sure. And it's good I'm coming on a Friday, because it appears that these things only happen on a Friday for whatever reason, or at least that's what a tour guide just told me, that Friday is the day they do that. And I'll be back here on Monday, so I'll keep you updated on that, but it feels very intense here, I do have to say. It feels, if people are like, does Jesus really exist, this and that? I do think parts of the story are very true, including the crucifixion, and you can definitely pick up on that energetically somehow. There's a lot of pain in the air. I just went inside a chapel where they were also showcasing where he was judged, you know, where he started picking up his own cross. So I'll be back for the procession because I'm really curious about that. But basically this is where it happened, supposedly. And we're at Via Dolorosa right next to it. So I'll try to just walk around and view a few other spots of relevance. But I do have to say, like, energetically it feels really intense. And I'm happy I'm not coming for Easter or Passover because it would have been crazy crowded. And I'm just wondering if it feels this way because so many people have worshipped this spot, or if it's really because that's how Jesus and his tribe felt. So something to tap into the future for sure, just not here. It's too busy to energetically pick up on that. But yeah, okay guys, see you later. Alright, so here is the Lionsgate Street. Sounds familiar? Lionsgate Portal, right? Yep, exactly. So anyone who still worships that crap, you can go to hell, because this is all meant to cause more suffering. I can tell you that much. I was almost thinking, you know, the way you saw the religious people head in one direction, specifically the Muslims in this case, but you definitely see it for Jewish and Christians too. It's almost like a cult, right? Like the sect-like music in the background, and them all heading in one direction. It's a bit crazy how people follow that, but yeah, okay. Okay, so we're literally walking the exact same path we were about 30 minutes ago, and there are waitless people. Meaning, I'm pretty sure it had to do with that one holiday or school ending or something where all the people were headed. You also see, aside from that there, which is like an oven, you also see way more tourists right now, which is great. So I feel less alone. It's like huge groups in the background right there. And as far as I can tell, it's definitely worth hiring a guide. I'm thinking I might do a tour on Monday because I'm not really understanding anything here. But when I started listening to tour guides randomly when walking by, you know, you get some snippets of, oh, and this is a 2,000-year-old building, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's definitely worth hiring a tour, and I might do that on Monday. Okay, so I got my first rosary, hopefully my last one. He said it was like olive wood, and then another vendor in the street was like, oh, it's not olive wood. So whatever, at this point I don't even care. I got my souvenir, and I might gift it to someone who's Christian. So if you want it, let me know. Just joking. So yeah, there's like holy soil, whatever in it, supposedly. You never know. I paid 35 shekels for it, which I think it's an okay price. And we are currently in the Via Dolorosa. So you're kind of walking up to where he was carrying his cross. And I think we're going to the site of the Crucifixion. And hopefully no vendor is going to bother me ever again, because that took a lot of my time. But that's how they rope you in, right? Alright, so I'm currently stuck in this Austrian or German group, and like continuously chanting. Talking about cults, this is a cult to me as well. So I have to say the entire chanting and praying gets really irritating after a while. I don't know how people live here, but it's crazy, right? What masses can do. There's more chanting. Alright, that was a really intense journey into the supposed spot where he was crucified and also where his grave is. Interesting. And as you can tell, there are 1 million people right now. So I don't know how it is regularly or during high season, but I am here on a normal Friday, and it's crazy. And the line to the tomb or the grave, whatever that is, which I'll blend in, was more than 2 hours long. So I didn't stand in that line, obviously, because I wanted to see other things, but the energy felt very interesting in it. So there was this one room where there were a lot of intense paintings of what looked like maybe Israel before Jesus. Maybe that was even David, King David, or something similar to that. He had a really nice golden crown, and there were a lot of other paintings that were actually covered up. Maybe they were restoring them, or they just don't want to show them. But I tried to take as many photos of them as I can. And in that specific room or chamber, I felt the most. And one of the tour guides that I asked said that it's not 100% sure where he was crucified. So there was a spot where they're showing he was crucified, where everyone kind of stands in line that he's crucified. But it seems like it's not 100% sure whether or not he was crucified there. So it could be that he was actually crucified in that other chamber, or that one chamber has significant meaning. There are a lot of chambers in that specific construct. So what you see in the background right here, it's super intense. It's just, one painting after another, one room after another, and then the entire line to the grave. And then you had the Armenian church, and then you had a lot of paintings of Mary Magdalene too. So for me, it just sounds up like muddled history, and no one really knows anything anymore today. I can just go with my feeling, and I felt the most in that one chamber. I also felt the most around the Mary Magdalene altar, or whatever you want to call it. It appears that maybe the Armenians believe more in the sainthood of Mary Magdalene than other religions. My throat is clamping up while I'm saying that. Super intense. It's super intense here, I'm not gonna lie. There are certain areas where I feel more, and then other areas that just are so overrun where it's very hard to pick up on anything because there are just too many people and it's ruining the energy and the vibes. So, is it a sacred place? I don't know. Was he really crucified here? We don't really know. They say he was. There was a very painful stretch on Via Dolorosa where I almost cried, and I could feel the pain in it, and I don't think that's coming from the people emphasizing it. The entire chanting is very irritating to me, and it's almost like a cult mentality, similar to the Muslim walk that I experienced. So you do have a lot of that. You do have a lot of entities being called in because of that, and I really feel I need like a super cleanse after this experience. Also, when we were in line to see the crucifixion spot, there was this one period, it was around 1 p.m., where they were basically 3 different, I don't know if they were Jewish priests or whatever, but 3 different one of those were not saging, but using a different scent. In German it's called Weihrauch. I forgot the English word, but they were basically scenting around for at least 5 minutes or so. So that was interesting to observe and witness, and it's interesting that I kind of just see these moments as they come, because I didn't plan any of this. I just planned go to Jerusalem, see whatever I can, and I didn't plan on being there at 1 p.m. So I do think we're always led to be where we're meant to be, and that was an interesting experience, to say the least. It's almost like they were the keepers of something, the keepers of, I don't know, I don't think, I think it's, once again, the entire history of what happened has been so muddled up, and I think they're really pushing Jesus in a direction that he wasn't, he was different, So this entire worshiping him and his story, his glorifying, that is part of a larger agenda. I don't think he would have agreed with that necessarily. But also, when I walked into one of the chambers, one tour guide was saying that there's a key held to open up a door somehow, either the door to this in the back or to a chamber. Just got like a few glimpses of what the tour guide was saying. And that key is held by what? The Muslim family. So all of these religions meshed together, there's a reason for that. Because every single religion is meshed together in this one, the Jewish, Islam, and Christian. So yeah, that was interesting because there are certain keys held. Remember, like keys to get out of the matrix, keys to something, they're kept by someone. And one of them is kept by a Muslim family, so by Islam. And when I was in Morocco, around all of the structures that they have there, I felt a lightness that I'm not feeling here necessarily. It felt very, very heavy inside of there, super heavy. And that's how I also know something being called in, they have to air that out. I don't know, it just felt too much. But there are certain keys distributed across the world by certain families, and I felt that was a part of something. Very interesting, Once again, being at the right spot at the right time for me to decipher that, I guess. I don't know. All right, we're going to continue our walk, see a bit more of Jerusalem. It seems we're not going to get kicked out at 1 p.m. So I'm going to try to stay at least until 3 or so. I do have to make sure I get back to Tel Aviv, and the regular buses stop running at one point because it is Shabbat. Alright, so it's pretty draining to go through all of that. My energy's down. It's pretty low. And we're just randomly walking through Jerusalem now, the old city. I wanted to make it to the other side where the garden and everything was, but not sure I will on this visit. I mean, today. I do plan on coming back here on Monday, but I also want to do Bethlehem, so I really have to plan it very carefully with public transport and everything. So I guess we'll just see. It's always worth another visit though. If I make it here on Monday, great. If not, I think I've seen a lot, and it's very intense with this amount of people, so I'm not even sure I would ever want to be here during high season. I mean, like I said, the weather's okay. This is not Passover, this is not Easter, so I can't imagine the crowds during that time. I really can't. Yeah. Alright, we're on our way to the Western Wall, and I think you have to show your passport or somehow get through. I'll know in a second, but I don't think I can film this. Alright, we are currently in the Garden of Gethsemane. And you can't enter these things right here, but I think at certain times during the year you can, because there was definitely trash lying around. Anyhow, so this is, I think, the last stop for me today, and they have a basilica in the background, which you can see right there too. Alright, hey guys, so this in the background appears to be the Lionsgate. So there are a few different ones, at least where there's written Lionsgate, but I just came from the Garden of Gethsemane, and there are a million different pronunciations, by the way, so, however you want to pronounce that garden, it's okay with me. Anyhow, I just got back, and as the story goes, he's supposedly from the garden. He was walking through the Lionsgate, and this is Via Dolorosa. So that could have very well been the original Lionsgate. There are 2 lines on there. It's always so loud here. There are 2 lines on there. So it could be the original one, not sure. So far it's been a really intense day. So I'm wrapping it up around 4:30, 4:15. And I've been here since 11, so 5 hours. It's been a really intense day. There's St. Anne's Church right there in the background. I have no idea who she is. It's just one thing after another. There's also some David's quarry or Solomon's quarry that I want to see, so I'll just come back on Monday if I have the chance and just kind of really pinpoint what exactly it is I want to see. Otherwise it's super confusing. There's like fireworks in the background, at least I hope it's fireworks and not gunshots, but no one else seems concerned. So anyhow, this was my experience. First day in Jerusalem, Old City. And is it spiritual? I think so. There's a lot of spiritual points for sure. And I picked up on a lot of pain along certain ones. So I do think there's something to that story, absolutely. And it's going to take a while to really process it, I feel, because you can be in it here, and even when there are a million people, you know, you'll still have like certain things that are going to come up when you're away from here. So yeah, it was a pretty spiritual experience.